Okay, Van, how are you today?
Very good. How you doing, Stuart?
Not
Long time
too
no
bad,
see.
not too bad. Yeah, the beard's coming along nicely.
You see, a little bit of a change of landscape. Do you like it? I see that you are cutting your hair and I'm growing my beard.
Yeah, well, I got a haircut last week. I was growing a moustache there for a little bit as well, but I decided to get rid of that yesterday or the day before because my blonde grey beard doesn't look too good nowadays. Ivan, I don't have a dark beard there like yourself. So
It's a
I
Spanish feature, Stuart.
That's true. That's true. So I decided to shave it off and go for more of a clean skin look. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So how
Good
have you
man,
been
good
this
man.
week? Everything well?
Yeah, everything good. Everything good. I have been checking a little bit of the news lately. It has been
What's happening?
an interesting week so far. We have the news about the mask mandates, and you remember that they passed it in the Congress and they put together this pension revision,
Yeah,
and they put it together in the same boat. I don't know,
yeah. It was a bit sneaky,
different,
wasn't it?
very, very sneaky.
Mm, mm.
And then we find out that this week they're gonna remove the mask mandate. So
Yeah,
one day
yeah,
you have, or one week, sorry, as the government, you put all the pressure in certain
yeah,
things, and as you were saying, doing sneaky maneuvers to try to
yeah.
pass the law through, and then the next week or the following week you have. Well, let's scrap this again. So it's a little bit of lost direction, really. So yeah, interesting times that we live in.
Yeah. I think the government, obviously, the government is struggling to balance the situation at the moment to keep people happy because there's elections coming up, right, in
Oh,
Castilla, Leon, which we're going to
massively.
talk about in a minute. Then I think there's probably elections next year, maybe at a national level. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we are
2023.
we are very close to election, and as you said in the news, you can see this kind of typical election year.
Yeah,
People usually we have like short-term memory, so it's
yeah,
like employment is growing, but then you find out that the public employment is the one that has been driven those figures up, but the private employment is doing so or
mm,
even declining
yeah,
slightly. So
yeah, yeah,
there is a lot of announcements and investments
yeah,
in here and there, and now
yeah,
talking about the next gen funding from Europe.
yeah,
But and there was one that the next gen funding, they were going to town halls that they were governed by the PSOE, but the
mm,
PP was complaining that they are not
yeah,
arriving to their own town hall. So
yeah, 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 yeah.
everything is about interest and trying
Well,
to hit the headlines with the most positive
yeah,
positive
yeah.
approach for your party, really. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, as we said, I mean, you can see clearly that we're getting into election mode, right? So everything is every politician is trying to get their face in the papers by saying something, whether it's coherent or outlandish, and the mask rule was a very strange one because, as you said, last Tuesday, I think it was, the Parliament, there
mm,
was a bit of a scandal in the Parliament to get the mask mandate extended, the outdoor mask mandate, let's say. As you said, they tied it together
exactly.
with an increase for pensions, so nobody wanted to be the bad guy and not vote for that. So,
Correct.
so I mean, that was a little bit dodgy, let's say, the way they got that through. And then a week later, they vote in the Council of Ministers to get rid of it again. So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all, Ivan.
Correct. You are making a scene. You are putting a portrait of you as a government like total lack of direction, and you are pushing, as you were saying, because obviously these people is not stupid. They know who or what parties are going to vote for what things, or they are going to support you or not. So you have been doing all this lobbying to, okay, what do you want, or how can we get you to agree to vote for support our proposal.
Yeah,
And then it has been on for a few weeks. I remember this mask here or not, because I think the police were complaining that the legal framework wasn't in place, so they cannot fine anybody. Yes, it's like a good behavior kind of thing, but they don't have any legal power. So this came to the front line because of that, and then the government said, okay, let's put some legal framework,
yeah,
some let's actually walk the walk rather than talk the talk, right? So, and then you find out that in the all these political moves, lobbying, etc., that I have been describing, and then they get through with some sneaky maneuvers, as we have said already, and then the following week, not not even 7 days since then, like, okay, let's scrap it. It's just, I don't know. It's not looking great, is it?
No, it's not. It's not a good look. But then again, no, I don't think anybody cares at the end of the day because, as you said, people have short memories, and as we know, Ivan, Spain is a country where traditionally people vote for. I think we spoke about this in one of the videos. The political parties are like football teams. You know, you're a supporter all your life. You know, it doesn't matter what they do, you are of that party.
Correct.
The younger generations are a bit different because they've grown up with the Podemoses, or they've grown up with the Voxes, or the Ciudadanos, the Citizens Party. So maybe they're a bit more wishy-washy when it comes to voting. But the hardcore, you know, the pensioners, the over 40s, they're the PP or the PSOE, really, aren't they? A lot of the times, and maybe they'll change if they don't like the way the party's going. So you can see people are going off to the right because, you know, maybe they see the Partido Popular is a little bit too wishy-washy on certain things, so they want that hard right-wing line, which is what Vox is doing. And I must say that I've been watching some of the Vox videos on YouTube recently, very professional videos, and they're really talking to the people that they want to speak to, you know, the people that feel abandoned in Castile y León, and people that feel abandoned around Spain, and they're really trying to drill that message into them. So watch out for Vox, I would say. But yeah, very, very strange, and as you said, it doesn't look good for the government. But again, next week people will have forgotten when people take their masks off outdoors and everybody starts to see your face again, Ivan, and people realise that you've got a beard, because maybe people don't even know that you've got a beard.
Probably. Maybe by then I will be safe again.
That's it. All right,
but it's very good what you were describing, and you know, we will see this weekend with I think it was on the 13th, the Castilla y León elections, and but it's kind of like getting a little bit of the temperature about where we're going. I don't know if, you know, the mask was a political maneuver or what we are seeing now with the different rates. Also the CIS, the Centro de Investigaciones Sociológicas. So it's this kind of like government body that basically, exactly, public body that gives kind of like the statistics or like the official market research about certain things. And one of the things that they do is before elections, they give a little bit of the results of the polls, no, you call it, about what is the intention of voting. During the Pedro Sánchez time, it has been accused, this guy is called Tezanos, I think, the head of this body, and they have been accused many times to be very, very biased towards the PSOE because of the government. Again, it's a body that was supposed to be a little bit more aseptic, but because everything in this country gets politicized one way or the other, so we don't really see what it could happen. As you say, maybe the rise of Vox, because they have found a market of voters, really, that they have not been pitched by any of the main parties, and you know, the situation and the increasing unhappiness for a certain sector of the society could be reflected in those elections. So we shall see.
So I think just on that point that you mentioned there, Ivan, when we talk about these public organizations like the one that you mentioned, what was it, the CIS or something, right?
The CIS, correct, yeah.
When we talk about the Bank of Spain, when we talk about the competition watchdog, when you talk about all of these government organizations, that's right. They are political positions, the people that are put in there, right? So maybe there's an overlapping. The justice system is also criticized quite a lot, Ivan, sometimes because of these political positions. And I mean, the rule number one of democracy is that you have to separate the
three powers,
right? Yeah. That's right. And then when you talk about these things, the opposition party is always accusing the CIS of being pro-government or pro-Pedro Sánchez at the moment, and nobody really trusts these these organizations. All of the newspapers do their surveys as well, right? So you've got El País doing theirs, you've got El Mundo doing theirs, and they're all saying the same thing. But the FIS one's interesting because they give an outright victory to the Socialist Party in Castilla y León. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit like, I don't know, if all of the different polls go one way, and you are going totally the opposite direction, you might have maybe a different set of cards that nobody else can see, or something is going on, and that is the concerning part, right? Because if it is supposed to be a public body to serve the public, the rest of the Spaniards, it's not to serve a party. It's not a political body or an arm of a certain party that is in power. But it happened the same thing with the public television, RTVE as well. They have been accused in different times. What was the name? There was this lady that also get with Pedro Sanchez that also has been also very supportive of that cause.
Yeah.
We lack, I guess, in every country you have certain things like that, don't get me wrong, but the problem or my concern as a Spanish citizen is that you are erosionating the trust into these bodies. You are the FIS now in this kind of political environment close to elections is becoming a meme because the people don't trust and don't care what they say because they have been proven that it's just another advertisement from a certain political party at each time. So
that's
that is really what bothers me.
Well, I can understand your worry there because, as you said, they become a meme, and people just don't even think that they're telling the truth at all. It's also happened with the royal family as well. The former king's become a meme, and because he's lost the trust, and it seems to happen a lot. But again, I'm sure that it happens in other countries. I'm sure that the BBC has lost the trust of people or other state broadcasters, that because the idea that you have to sort of separate yourself from the political parties or a political ideology sometimes is difficult, I think. And
no, that's very true. I remember when I arrived to the UK, Prince Charles was also very, I think it was with maybe with Tony Blair, I believe. It was very political speeches leaning towards a certain opinion. It's very well known, Charles, for being also sending these letters that, this is important for our community, blah, 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 which, as somebody in their position and in the royal family, maybe not that I know of, but at least in Spain, they have never expressed their political things. Or the political opinions because they are not allowed to vote. Okay, so they can have the private thing, but
I think the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, I think this year she's celebrating 70 something years on the throne, or maybe 70. I think she's been known that for not having a political opinion. Of course, I mean, obviously, if you speak to her in private, she'll probably give you her opinion on what's happening politically, but because you're right, they're not there to influence public opinion when it comes to politics, and that's the role. But we could presume that royal families would support political parties that are in favour of them, right? So I don't think the King of Spain is going to be putting his hand up and voting for Podemos, for example, right? Or Izquierda Unida.
Well, there was this medal, that they give to Pablo Iglesias for services of the crown or for the crown. So you never know.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Services to the crown. That's it. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's an award that they give to a lot of people, and he was obviously in line for that. But anyway, now
exactly.
We'll change the topic. We'll move off politics. You wanted to talk about breakfast here in Spain.
Yeah. I saw another article, and basically we're talking about the Spanish breakfast that is not as healthy as it should be, and they were giving a couple of examples, and I think that it will be an interesting topic because it has always been, as far as I remember, this kind of huge difference, no, in between what is like the English breakfast and what is like the Spanish breakfast. Just to put this into context for those of you that maybe had not have the luck to travel to Spain or to experience the Mediterranean diet. Maybe the breakfast is one of those kind of like black points, no, of our gastronomy. And maybe the typical, it would be, or the maximum example of our breakfast, it would be the churros or churros con chocolate.
Or con café.
If you don't, oh, con café, exactly. If you don't know what churros is some sort of dough that it has been deep fried.
Fried dough, basically, right?
Yeah, fried dough, exactly, with a different shape, and they have porras as well. That is pretty much the same dough, but with a different kind of shape. Is usually tend to be thicker and longer than the churros.
Except in Malaga, I think it's the opposite. I think the porra is smaller. I think I can't remember, but I think they do differentiate down there. But in Madrid, the churros, the typical thin thing that you see, which is the common one around the world nowadays, and the porra is this big, probably, well, it's called a porra because a porra is like a baton or something, right? And
it's usually the baton that the police have, for the strikes or things like that, to keep
get hit over the head by the police by the police porra. But the one you see in the bar, and the curious thing, Ivan, is that when you go into any bar here in Madrid, or probably even in the Castillas, I would say, you walk into a bar and in the morning they've got the breakfast selection, right? So they'll have pastries like croissants, maybe, or the Napoletana. I'm not sure what that is in English.
It's kind of like a pan au chocolat, well, without the French side. Maybe with cream. Pan au chocolat is usually with cream in the middle, but it could be with chocolate in the middle, but this one could be with cream.
That's right. So you've got your croissants, you've got your Napoletanas, you've got your ones that come in a packet, like the ones from that's another thing as well. The ones from Cantabria, the sobals, you can see those in the
the sobals. Exactly, good man.
You can see those in a bar. Then you've also got your donuts, which are very, very popular. Your round donut, like the American donut, like a chocolate covered donut or a sugar covered donut, and
it's pronounced donut.
That's right, yeah, un donut. And then you've got your churros and then your porras, which normally are the first to sell out, because sometimes you can go to a bar at 9 o'clock and there's none left because they've been they've been
the good thing is when they are warm. If they are there, if you go at 11 and they have churros, I will not order them because they're gonna be left there, hard and left there for a while. So you want to be the first one for the churros and porras.
That's right.
You have other options, maybe, depending on the place that you go, like the tostada con tomate is also getting
everywhere you go, you have that. A piece of toast. The Spanish bread with a bit of oil or butter or whatever you want to have on it. Then you can have you can even go further and have like a ham and cheese sandwich or something. So, I mean, there's different things you can have, but probably everything that we've just mentioned is not the healthiest breakfast alternative. You're not going to see bowls of fruit in a typical bar, right?
No, that's not the case. And in fact, if you think, or if I have to think about the typical Spanish breakfast, it will be like a coffee that it will tend to be torrefacto. Again, generalizations are always wrong, and you will go to amazing coffee places in Madrid that we all know. But, the normal, typical Spanish bar, it will give you a low quality coffee that probably you will tend to put more sugar on top to try to cover that kind of aftertaste and acidity. So you are getting sugar. Usually you get, for some sweet option, usually I would say maybe 60, 70, 80% of the times, probably those will be the ones who sell earlier. Maybe like a juice, which orange juice, you are lucky that is like a one that has been squeezed. exactly in front of you. Obviously, juice will contain sugar. If it is like a packet one, probably it will contain more sugar. So this article was about like the Spanish breakfast
Yeah.
not being like that, and
Yeah.
it reminded me a couple of things. First, that the approach that the Spanish have to English breakfast, or by extension to anything that suppose eating something with a fork and knife at 8, 9, or 10 in the morning is
Yeah.
probably something that you don't want to experience.
Yeah.
That's to start with.
That's it.
So we have that kind of, no, that is not for this kind of time of the day. Sorry. And the second one is what when I arrived to Ireland, I remember probably it was like, I don't know, my third day or something like that. I went to the office and I saw a person coming to the office with like a little pot, like a takeaway, but it was not a coffee, it was not a drink, because it didn't have that plastic lid that you can actually drink from. And I was very interested, and I was a little bit embarrassed to ask, and I was like the new one there, and this Spanish, my English it wasn't that good at the time, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. It looked like rice pudding. It looked like arroz con leche. So, oh, that might be typical from Dublin to have arroz con leche or rice pudding in the
It was
morning.
probably rice bubbles or something, was it?
Wait for it. So I decided, oh, I want to try new things. I always like to experience new stuff. So I went to this like corner coffee shop, and I didn't know exactly what it was. I asked for rice pudding. They told me, "What are you talking about?" They put me to like a yogurt thing. I think in the UK it's called ambrosia or something like that. But no, it's not that one. And I saw a pot, and I saw one guy ordering it, so I ordered the same thing again, thinking for myself that it
Porridge.
was rice pudding. Exactly. What was my surprise? And that was the first time that I tried porridge in my life.
Well,
No,
on the
my first thought was, what kind of weird people will heat up rice pudding? Because that's not something that you will do in Spain. At a later stage, I learned that you actually heat up rice pudding. Seriously, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. Actually, porridge. I have porridge nearly every day now. I've gone back to porridge. It was something that I ate a lot as a kid. It was a fairly common thing that my mother used to give us when we were kids. Especially in winter. In summer, obviously, you don't want to eat porridge, but in winter, it's something that I do enjoy again. But yeah, I think the idea, Ivan, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of Spanish people, from what I've seen, speaking from experience, they're not really breakfast people. It's a cup of coffee, maybe first thing when they wake up, and they'll have something around 10 or 11 o'clock when their stomach opens up a bit, maybe what they call here the almuerzo or something like that. But or maybe a piece of toast at home or something quickly. But a lot of people are getting up, getting dressed, and especially here in Madrid, and getting out, and then they have something when they get to work or something a little bit later. So breakfast is not the most important meal because everything is saved for 1:30, 2:00,
Lunch.
2:30, the lunch.
Correct. Yeah. It's very typical. So, as you say, the almuerzo, like the pincho de tortilla, or around 10:30, 11 probably will be like the typical time, I would say.
Bocata.
If it is 12, probably exactly bocata. And yeah, that's the how we work.
That's it.
Every family, every house is totally different. We also have those cereals. Don't get me wrong. If you go right now to any supermarket, you can have your cereal, your cornflakes, your Weetabix, and your porridge as well. Now I know what it is.
Yeah, well, you can find you can find Quaker oats, I think, to make porridge with, and there's a few other ones around the place.
I saw, yes.
Every supermarket will have cornflakes and rice bubbles and all of those typical breakfasts, if you want the Kellogg's breakfasts. So muesli you can get as well. So I mean, it is changing a little bit, but you have to go out of your way to find a place to have a what I would consider a healthy breakfast. Maybe a a plate. Yeah, I don't. You can't get it in a lot of bars. A plate of muesli and a glass of orange juice and something like that. No, they don't. They don't deal with that
Yeah,
type of stuff.
I don't think that will be in offer, that kind of things. Maybe in the
No.
airport, if you are lucky, like a small glass with fruit salad.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
The typical
But,
one we have already described it, and is
that's right.
usually made of something sweet by default.
That's right. Because as I said, breakfast is not considered an important meal from what I've seen. I mean, everybody that I've, if we've gone away with friends for the weekend, I don't think anybody has taken breakfast as a serious meal. It's always lunch, or it's always that, as we said before, that 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning snack. Nobody's waking up in the morning and hoeing into a big breakfast. And on the topic of English breakfast or Irish breakfast, I mean, I don't know whether that's still popular in the UK or not. In people's homes, maybe if you go to a cafe or something, you can get it. Or an American breakfast, I think they do as well. But, you would never see anybody, except if you went to one of the tourist resorts down there on the coast where they serve that type of thing. You would never see a Spanish person, as you said, sitting down with a knife and fork and hoeing into a big breakfast. No.
Yeah. I have to say, for me, it was a bit of a learning curve from kind of like a repulse reaction at the beginning with the idea of having, I don't know, bacon and eggs. I guess this is something that it grows into you. So
Probably,
you try. Obviously,
that's right.
Your day has to run around it. You cannot have like an English breakfast and then have like a Spanish lunch. It will be like two very heavy meals in very short piece of time. So it just makes sense with.
That's it.
Exactly. It's just two different ways to see the nutrition in that sense.
Absolutely.
Okay, like very small breakfast with a 3-course meal in Spain, and very light dinner. We can talk about dinners, and in my family, for example, I have seen as a child, I don't know, cutting a little bit of cheese, a little bit of chorizo, or ham, or some walnuts, or an apple. That's it. That was dinner. Maybe we had like a slightly lighter meal. Maybe you have some huevos fritos, some fried eggs with chips or something. Okay, but tend to be light. And on the opposite, we have the British one. I don't think everybody will wake up for a fry up, but you will be up to it for a bank holiday or something like that, and then slightly light lunch, maybe on an office sandwich on top of a keyboard are very common. And then you have like a respectful dinner early on, like 6, 7. You have pasta, for example. That I have never had pasta for dinner. I kind of like that doesn't feel right. But again, you adjust your time.
A bit too heavy. That's right.
Correct, and especially if you go pasta on Spanish dinner times, you are gonna go totally bloated to bed. So things make sense on the context where they are. Okay,
and the timetable. That's exactly right.
Exactly right. So there is no right or wrong answer. It's just different mix of choices that fit a specific culture or timetable, as you said.
That's exactly right. All right, good. Ivan, I just want to finish off here with a comment that somebody left on last week's video. Of course, we were talking about Rafa Nadal. Do you remember?
Yeah, I did.
And this comment came through here from Mike. He says, Stuart and Ivan, sport divides opinion, and yes, Nadal can be included as one of Spain's greats. However, please don't forget the great Seve Ballesteros. He's from Cantabria, and I would hope members of Ivan's family should know about him, a golfing genius from the late 1970s and 80s who would play shots others could not. Sadly taken from us too early. Rest in peace. Keep up the good videos. Now,
indeed, Seve, well, is well known in Cantabria and the whole region, and it has been a reference for golfing worldwide for many years. The airport in Santander is called Seve Ballesteros, and as a child, I have a golf ball signed by Seve. So I will my next visit to Santander, I will bring it back to show it. Maybe I will put it in auction or something.
I think when we were talking last week, we were talking about the current sports people, and probably we were talking about Rafa being the greatest of all time. But if we do talk about golf, obviously Seve Ballesteros has been a legend on the golf course. There was another guy called Olazabal who was also very good. There's a golfer at the moment, John Ram. I think he's from I think he's maybe from the Basque Country, is he? I'm not sure where he's from, but very, very good golfer. So Spain has had some golfing greats, and of course
Yes.
Seve Ballesteros. And the story that a lot of people might not know with Seve is that he also married into the most powerful family in Cantabria, did he not? The Botin family?
Correct. He was intertwined with the head family of the Banco Santander. So yes, but his origins were like very, very humble. Yeah. And in fact, he started playing because he worked at a golf course nearby, and pretty much by chance, he couldn't even afford the golf clubs and everything. Probably somebody from the community can give us a little bit of insight. To be honest, I don't know that much about golf or Seve history, but yeah, and everybody knows that he was a great reference, a great professional, a great sportsman.
Yeah.
And probably the only thing that you can say about golfing in Spain is that it doesn't have the consideration that in many, many other countries. In Spain, golfing, it has other connotations that I haven't seen. I don't practice myself, okay? I have gone with a couple of friends a couple of times to the typical just throw some balls, and I have no clue. Okay, maybe one day I will learn. Maybe Nick can invite us down to his nearby
golf course in Malaga.
his golf course. but yeah, it has a very kind of like post connotation. So basically,
it's an upper class,
here is
an upper class sport.
Correct.
Right,
It's very, very biased towards this is a sport for wealthy people. It's kind of like a business related sport. It's kind of maybe like diminished in a way, and it doesn't have like the appreciation or like the public exposure that maybe other sports might have, just because of that perception. And then when I went to the UK and in Scotland in particular, a huge golfing history in Scotland. Everybody from it doesn't signal any kind of difference in class, or you have to be a CEO to play. No, the people that might be like a trader would be playing, or the butcher would be playing, and that's it. It's just an sport. Bring you out to the outdoors, and there in Scotland they enjoy like correct to enjoy a nice walk and kind of like a calm thing. So it's not like especially agitated sport, but I didn't feel that it has that connotation that it has in Spain of kind of like a barrier, no? Or people think, no, I might be interested in that sport, but I don't have the money, or I don't want to be close to this kind of sector of the society. I don't know.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. When I was growing up in Western Australia, I don't know what it's like in the other states, but I imagine it's similar. I mean, my grandfather had golf clubs, which, and my father was a journalist. Well, he was a journalist, and he was the golf writer for the local paper, So he used to he used to drag me along to tournaments at the weekend to watch golf. So
nice.
I started playing when I was young, and it was something that we used to do with friends. We used to go to a public course. We had a few public courses close to where I lived, and you'd get together with 3 or 4 friends, and you'd go out and play 18 holes or 9, whatever you wanted to do.
Nice.
And you didn't have to be good. You could hire clubs if you didn't have clubs. It was very accessible, and that's what I don't really find here. I found that golf, obviously there are public clubs, and somebody's going to say, oh, in Madrid there's 50 public clubs. Yeah, okay, great. But you don't go to people's houses and find golf clubs normally, right? It's
right.
I if I had to talk about golf, I'd say that it's especially with young people, in their 30s and 40s, it's like a middle manager and up type sport. They maybe go and hit a few balls in their 2-hour lunch break. Take off the suit, go and have a hit, play at the weekends. that's what I've seen when I was giving English classes in banks. The managers played golf at the weekend, and so it was associated with that level, and
Correct.
but
it's a social construct, basically. That is how it is, and
given
probably the countries that I know, the only one who had that. Yeah.
Well, given that is the case, Spain might play above its weight, considering that it isn't a generalized sport,
Sergio Garcia as well. I don't know if he's still around. I don't really follow golf that much, I have to say. Yeah. I apologize, but he was like following the steps. Yeah.
Well, he was the great hope, wasn't he? That I don't think he lived up to that expectation of winning as many majors as Seve and people like that. But he was a professional golfer, and probably still is for a long time. You have to be careful with the word, because the word in English, golfer, if you call somebody a golfer here in Spain, Ivan, you can get into trouble, right?
A little bit. A little bit.
Que golferes. That's it. That doesn't mean that you swing clubs at the local course at the weekend. No, that's it.
Maybe you swing other things, maybe.
That's it. All right, Ivan, we'll start to wrap it up there. We've been going for a long time, but anyway, you could chat today, and hopefully we can speak next week again. Okay.
Anytime, Stuart.
All right. Thanks, Ivan. See you later. Bye.
See ya.